Hey folks, Raffaele Urbani here, Schola Gladiatoria. Hello number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and finally Matt East on the Schola Gladiatoria channel, one of my favorite channels, has started to focus more on the classical era, weaponry, armor, Roman weapons, and of course he has. I mean, this is such a great topic. In fact, where is my popcorn? Didn't make it, did you? Off you go, soldier. Gosh, to think we used to be an empire. So this is a response video to the video he made about the Roman Gladius, and let's do it while wearing a Republican helmet, because why not? Much better. So in this video the man is talking about the Gladius because of course why wouldn't you choose to speak about such a great weapon? And in fact that is the question he asks. Is the Gladius, the Roman Gladius, a great sword? And I think I really suggest you to go check out this video because it's really good. And I mean it, it's really good. Like, he talks about how the Gladius is a sword that is definitely designed to be used in conjunction with a Roman scutum, so the large shield, for a whole number of reasons that I'm not going to repeat here because anyways, at the end of the day, I agree with everything he's saying. But on this video, what I decided to do was to add onto something that he has said. So basically, he did mention how the Gladius is a sword that is really good when it's used in combination with the scutum. And I totally agree. But on this video, I'd like to sort of flip around the perspective and say why the scutum, in my opinion, is an excellent shield. So is the scutum a great shield, and what are the reasons why a scutum is the way it is, and it's made the way it is, it's designed the way it is, and why it works so well in conjunction with a short sword. Okay, let me strap these plates because they're literally driving me nuts. Spoiler alert, this is not the way the Romans did it, but we work with what we have. We work with what. Okay, so I've got two main points I'd like to bring up today. One is the reason why I think the scutum is excellently designed to work with a short sword rather than a longer sword. And secondly, I'd like to talk about why the Romans chose the specific grip that we find on the scutum, namely the central bossed sort of grip, rather than having it strapped to the arm. So we're going to talk about these two things, and I think that they both have to do with the sort of weapon that they were using. As an example, we've got here a Republican style sort of shield, and this we find in a lot of iconography, and it has a central spine, as you can see, an iron boss. Of course in this case it's steel, but most likely in the case of the Romans it would be either iron or some form of mild steel. We'll talk more about that later, perhaps in another video about the metallurgy in Roman times. Could have been either mild steel or iron, and then of course, as I said, it's center gripped. So one thing that is important to say is the fact that, yes, the Romans used very large shields. Now this is a Republican style shield, but also imperial style shields. They're a little less oval, they sort of curve a bit more around your body, and they tend to be rectangular, but they still are very big, and I'd like to underline, somewhat heavy shields. Okay, so the fact that shields in imperial times, and in Republican times, Roman shields anyways, tend to be heavy is the reason why I think that they work together with a short sword rather than a long sword. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you use a Roman shield, and again they are center bossed, and I will talk more about this, there is one thing that we see in all iconography, and it makes sense when you start handling one of these. The thing is, you can't hold it out distant from your body for very long, because it will be very tiring, because the shield is big, because the shield has a rim all around. Yes, it can be rawhide rather than metal. We know they used both, for example in the Dura Europos kind of finding, which I have seen personally, and I've made footage and pictures of it. We can see they used rawhide, but they also used reinforcing metal. Anyways, anything you add on a shield, whether it be the iron boss, whether it be a rim, whether it be more layers, it will make the shield heavier, and the shield is very big. So these shields were heavy, okay? And yes, with training, I'm sure that it will be easier for them to use than it is for me. But on the other hand, it's not a kind of shield you can fight with while you hold far away from your body. It's a shield you keep very close to your body, attached to your body, because that's the only way you can handle it throughout an entire battle, when you're also maneuvering, when you're also fighting, etc. So since it's a shield that it's designed to remain stuck to your body, as we see in iconography, it means that you are most likely going to seek a very close quarter sort of combat. That's the way the Romans fought. The Romans used the maximized protection of the shield to be able to get closer, and once you are very close to your opponent, even shield versus shield, that's when you need a shorter weapon. Because if your weapon is very long, then you're going to have trouble if you're fighting at a very close range. And I believe that the Romans chose to fight at very close range because they could afford it, because of the combination of the very large shield and the excellent armor that they have. Everything is designed towards a very close combat situation, and again I say, it's not the sort of combat that sometimes we see in medieval duels. Let me give an example. Now, with a triangular shield, with the sort of shield that was used in the Middle Ages, like for example the heater shield, as we call it now, you have a few more options of how you use it. If it's strapped to your arm like this, you can choose to keep it close to your body, or you can choose to keep it far away from your body, and they are both viable options that give you pros and cons depending on what you're doing. But this is not a problem. I can do this all day with a heater shield, and excuse the poor lab version I have. I still have been trying to find a manufacturer who could make a good heater shield for me. But this will have to do for now. I think it's good for the explanation. And if I want to even reach further away, I can simulate a centered grip with this sort of grip with the leather straps, and we know medieval people did it, and you can put it away from your body even more to kind of fight at a longer distance with your longer weapon, with your longer sword, and simulating a centered grip boss. And of course, anything that I'm saying now could be done as well with a Viking shield, which, as you know, was held in the center. A Roman scutum does not give you that option. You don't hold a Roman scutum far away, so this means that you don't really seek to keep the enemy at bay. You want to get closer, you're confident of your superior gear, and you are confident of the fact that most of your opponents, unless we talk about Second Punic War, but most of your opponents won't be fully armored. So you've got the armor, you've got the superior defense, you get close and you take advantage of that superior defense you have. So you're using defense offensively. That's the tactical way of combat of the Romans, the sons of Mars. And the short sword perfectly matches that, because again, if you wanted to keep the enemy at bay, you use a longer blade. But if you want to get close, because you're confident of your superior technology, you use a short sword. Also, why did the Romans choose a centered grip? Why did they not strap the shield to the arm? So we understand that, of course, one of the reasons is the fact that the shield wraps around you. A shield that is wrapped around you doesn't really leave the option of wrapping it to your arm, because you would have to make it flatter. Not completely flat, you can dome the surface of course, but the entire shape of the shield, the way they engineered it to also protect your sides, also meant that you had to go for the center grip. But I don't think that that's the only reason. Because some people say, well, but the sort of shields that you wear on your arm, the arm-strapped shields, are a medieval invention. No, they're not. They were used by the Greeks, of course. The oblon or the aspis, the Greek shield was like this. It was on your arm. And of course, the Romans copied the Greek all the time, and we know that most likely, if we talk about the Roman kingdom, so the Regnum Romanum, then most likely the Romans did copy the Greeks at first, but then they decided to go to sort of leave the design, so leave the idea of strapping the shield onto your arm and go for center grip for their military. I'm going to get a chair and I'm going to sit. I think it's not a technological lack. They knew it. And the reason why I know this is because we can see it in gladiatorial combat. Of course, rectangular shields wear centered grips, but round shields used by certain classes of certain gladiators classes. Some were center bossed, some were strapped to the arm, and we know that some of the round shields used by the auxiliary most likely were strapped to the arm rather than center bossed. And the way I know this is, for example, this piece of iconography that I found a couple of months ago as I was looking into this topic. And as you can see, the shield is definitely strapped. We can see this. It's a proof that the Romans at least knew about this. Sometimes they just choose not to make a shield like that, but to have it center bossed. So why? So what I'm trying to say is that the centered boss, briefcase gripped kind of shield is a deliberate choice. I think there are multiple reasons. One is definitely, as I said, the fact that this is the less tiring way to hold a very big shield like that, particularly because of the shape it has. If it didn't have that shape, if it was closer to a Norman kite shield, then yes, by all means you can wrap it on your arm. But for a cylindrical shield, which was perceived to be the best way to defend a formation, because this is battle, again, it was perceived to be the best way to create the testudo and whatnot, then a shield like that, the less tiring way to hold a shield like that is to center grip it. Another thing is that when your shield is gripped this way, when you have your closed hand inside on the grip with the iron boss, You can use it to punch, you can use it to attack, as we obviously know, and you can move it in certain ways that can turn the shield into an offensive weapon and not just a means of defense. So to conclude, it is the weight of the shield that dictates both the weapon that it goes well with, that it works well with, its grip as well, and the way it was supposed to be used. So the Roman scutum is a great shield, but it works really well with a short sword for the reasons I've mentioned. Okay, noble ones, well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember thumbs up. Hello to my friend Matt Easton from Schola Gladiatoria. And if you're still not a member of this community, become a noble one. Subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Stay noble. Goodbye.